Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is John, and I'm just gonna kind of talk. I think these first few videos on my channel are probably gonna be like vlog style until I get my you know what together. But I'm planning to kind of make this into like a music channel, music focused, guitar focused, recording focused. Because I like to write songs. I write songs all the time, riffs, ideas, and stuff, and it just kind of builds up and eventually becomes something. I either give it to one of the bands I'm with or I just make a song out of it myself. And I'll eventually start making or posting of my music. I've got a few songs pretty much in the can now, so I'm just kind of building it up slowly until it becomes a release, and um, then we'll put it out, I guess. But I just kind of want to walk through my thought process for the channel and like I try to get the ball rolling a bit on content because I don't know how to start really. I know you got a script, you got a plan, you got to, you know, try to make a plan to make the channel work consistently. So I want to try and just put something out in the meantime that so you guys can like follow my story and find some inspiration yourself. If you're a person like me who likes to make music and it's basically a hobby at this point because I don't make any money from it. I just do it because I love it. I love talking about music. I love listening to music. I love making music. I love going to shows. All kinds of stuff. I've seen a lot in my life, so I want to share it with people and not be so insular with my creative output as well. Right, just put stuff out there. Whatever happens, happens. But it's about sharing the passion, sharing the love for making music and playing music and trying to help people. So here it is. That basic recording setup is like I use Cubase. I've got this one mic here. I have other mics, but they're kind of in use at the moment. There's a few at rehearsal space with one of my bands. We're using that for recording. So I don't have much at my disposal. Most of the time when I'm recording guitars, I just go direct from my pedal board into the computer here, and I'm running it through AmpSims. I like to use Amplitube. I also have the Tonex pedal too, so I've been using Tonex a lot. But primarily it's Amplitube 5 and Tonex at the moment. In the past, I've used Guitar Rig and other kind of independent amp sims. I haven't gotten into Neural at all yet, or I was never a Kemper guy. I was never a Fractal guy. It was just out of my price range. Like I just work with what I got. I got a couple amps back here. I don't know if you can see. There's I've got a Hot Rod there and AC30 style cheap solid state Vox and an old PV, but they're not really like amazing for recording. You can get cool tones with them probably and just throw it in a song here or there, but they're more functional than anything else. So that's that for recording guitars. I've also got basses. I've had various basses over the years. Right now I'm playing just a Squier P bass for all my stuff. It's right here. Pretty basic, but it sounds good. I always love a P bass sound. It's great for recording, right? I've got all my guitars. I've got my Les Paul. I've got my Jazzmaster, and I built a Stratocaster, just a Partsacaster that my wife got gifted me for my birthday. I put that together and it plays pretty good for what it is. And I've got a Fender Telecaster Deluxe Vintera. That's probably my most expensive guitar. But I just put new strings on it, and I'm gonna set it up a little bit more. But this is the one I'm currently playing at the moment. So, and then basically, I'm just going from the guitar into my pedal board, which is down on the floor here. You can't see it, but it goes out of the pedal board into. How am I doing this? Out of the board into a loop station on the floor as well. It's one of those Boss 2-pedal loop stations. RC30 for the nerds. And then we're going into I have a cheap DI box one of those Ultra DI Behringer boxes, and then into my interface, which is a Scarlett i8i Focusrite interface, which is cheap. Got it used at Long McQuaid in Canada, and going into Cubase, which is what you're listening to right now. So I've got kind of two things going on. On my other screen, I have, this is going to look Inception, but OBS Studio, which is here. That's recording the video and my screen capture. And I've got Cubase running in the background, recording the audio. Nothing special, but I can treat it afterwards. So I kind of cut the video by clapping at the beginning, and that helps me like sync the audio. So you can have two sources, sync it up after the fact, and makes it easier than trying to sync up audio without that. So it's kind of like, you know, like in the movies where they go roll, or what do they say? Cut, you know, those things. Works the same way. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the basic setup I have right now. You can do a lot with OBS Studio as well as like different screens and video sources. So if you have multiple cameras, you can switch between them. Different screen layout stuff with a camera, without a camera. So that's kind of what I am experimenting with at the moment. I'm kind of trying to get like an easy workflow. I can just fire it up quickly and start recording, so it's not too much hassle when you're trying to make videos. But yeah, this is kind of my setup, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. Mine's probably more complicated than it needs to be. You could just use your phone or something, but for me, I want to show the recording process and plugins and stuff that I have, and make that part of my content. So I want a kind of hybrid setup, and I'm a bit hybrid with my guitar recording as well with the pedal board, so I don't go all in the box. Got a bunch of pedals on the floor, and then I go into like a virtual amp basically, so I can show a song session momentarily, so you can kind of see the setup. The way that I use the ToneX pedal is I kind of have, each bank is a different amp, and I have a clean, overdrive, and high gain profile on each channel, but I like to keep it the same amp or as close as I can, so I can switch between them in a live setting. So it's good for, you know, recording live off the floor. If you don't want any bleed in the mics from live amps, just go direct from your ToneX into the recording source and so on, right? There's something to be said for stage volume and natural, you know, energy in the room of having a real amp there, but to keep the drums as isolated as possible, if you're only in one room, that's all you have, then is a great solution for that. So I highly recommend ToneX, and it's not super expensive either. So great pedal platform. The other one I use a ton is Amplitube, which is the same. It's IK Multimedia. It's another amp sim software from those guys, and this has tons of options and versatility. You can add your own pedals in the chain here as well. So this is just an example of one of the songs I have. It's kind of like a high watt amp simulator. I got that dialed in, and I've got some pedals on the floor here in the virtual land. So I got a noise gate. I got what do we have here? Compressor and EQ. I'm not even sure what this is actually. It is a preamp EQ, and this guy is a Mahler overdrive pedal. So I was just messing around trying to get a tone. Put these down. So you have the option. I go through my own actual pedals, but you can add stuff to it if you want as well. Make combinations. So it's lots of fun. And you can get different cabinets in here as well. There's a Road King, Mesa Boogie. A lot of it is licensed as well in the software, so you get the real company logos and stuff, which is cool. And I don't know what I got going on here. This is interesting. Different rack stuff as well, post cabinet going to the output. So Yeah, it looks like I got some stuff going on here, just trying to make a tone. You've got basically your amp library on the side, sorted by the different types of amps: clean amps, crunch amps, high gain, and bass. So you can kind of pick and choose from the library here what you want to get. I think there's stuff you can add on or purchase and add to your library, but there's a lot of stuff out of the box that it comes with that's like I haven't felt the need to really download much else. So you do custom IRs as well, which are really cool. That's custom amp captures, cabinet captures. Yeah, all the different sponsorships for that Amplitube have. Like this is turning into an IK Multimedia commercial, but I don't work for those guys. I'm not getting paid. This is just the stuff that I like to use and I've kind of gravitated towards in the last couple of years. So I used to be really into Native Instruments guitar rig before this, but I've kind of moved to Amplitube and I'm loving it. I have no reason to change yet. So, and it's budget friendly too for people who don't have a lot of money. It's a good kind of entry level guitar software, I would say. All right, moving on to drums. I have got GGD Modern and Massive on most of my songs, if not all. But I have a couple other libraries too. I've got Abbey Road Modern Drummer, and a couple of just basic ones. There's one that comes with Cubase that's okay as well. I've got Slate Trigger also, which is handy if you've got some real drums that you want to enhance with one shots. You can use Slate Trigger on those samples and it will trigger drum samples on top of your existing drum sound, which is good. You could probably use it in some sort of hybrid way with software like this too, where you could record this to audio and then trigger Slate on top of from the audio. You could do something like that. Yeah, I like to set up this kit based on the kit of the drummer that I'm thinking of when I'm making a song. Like if I'm going to bring a song to a band, I try to make a kit template that's kind of like the drums that they have when they play live. So it kind of sounds similar. I mean, it's not going to be perfect, but at least I try not to be, completely different than what they do, right? And there's a few different options in here. Lots of different snare drums, toms, etc., cymbals, and you can route all this stuff out to the DAW. So this has its own mixer built into it, but I have a bunch of outputs as well that route into Cubase on channels. So I mix it kind of like a real drum kit. I route it as kick, snare, tom, floor tom 2, overheads, rooms, and then those go out to my DAW in behind here. That would be in my mix window, if I can show you. Out here, you can see I've got the channels right here that are routed out. I've got a couple of kits in here. Yeah, Groove Agent, Drum Forge, Abbey Road drums. With my GGD kits here, so I've got kick, snare, rack tom, floor 1, floor 2, overheads and rooms, and then I can treat those as individual channels and mix them how I want. I could put some channel strip emulation on, which I like to do. SSL channel, Sheps Omni is a great plugin. Into compressors, CLA 76 this is the Waves compressor, CLA compressor. And just mix it like a regular drum kit and then output that to different effect stands and so on. Looking at my guitar mix setup, it's fairly straightforward. Usually I have one track for tracking. I like to set this up as a template. So I've got a left channel, a right channel, a center channel, another center channel. In this, I don't always have that, but in this mix I do. And usually it's for different solos. If I want to treat a lead differently in one part of the song versus another part of the song, just add another channel. And I've got my guitar bus right here. Not a ton of processing. A bit of EQ, a bit of compression on the group channel. Other than that, we're just kind of treating it like it's a real amp and a real guitar in a real room, right? So I want it to try to simulate real life as much as possible. That's kind of my philosophy. And I'm pretty minimalist in the way that I make music. I'm not overboard with production or anything yet. Maybe it'll get that way because I keep thinking about orchestra strings and synths and all sorts of stuff I don't know about really. So it's just an ever evolving um, process for me. So trying to do that. Okay, moving on to bass. We've got Amplitube again. Bass amps running. Yeah, just a basic bass amp. No fancy stuff. SVX 500 amp sim here in Amplitube. Sometimes I split it, so I have a bass DI going into my interface, and I split high and low, so I have like a sub bass that's isolated, and I can kind of mix it in as I want, and also like a distorted tone or an overdriven tone or just a regular bass tone. Sometimes I do. I don't do it on every song, but some songs I do, some songs I don't. And then I have a group channel for my bass, and it's really basic stuff. Like it's just sometimes a channel strip plugin, an EQ, a compressor, and that's it. There's not a lot to it. You can add more if you want to, and I have, but it's not always necessary. Sometimes you can just get a great tone with simple plugin chain. You don't need a lot of stuff. And vocals, a similar thing. I tend to process vocals a bit more than the other instruments, but a similar type of idea. But when I'm tracking vocals, I tend to do a lot of takes and comp stuff together. I'm not as confident a singer as I am a guitar player, so I need to like retrack a lot of stuff and work on my delivery and my pitch and my tone and everything, right? So I tend to create a bunch of tracking tracks, and I hit take after take after take, and then I can comp that stuff together into the main vocals. Mains and doubles get most of the comping, and then the harmonies kind of come a little bit more natural to me. I can kind of just track it on the spot and blend them in together. So they're a little bit easier. But my plugin chain, I like to keep it hierarchically a channel strip plugin, and I use those for vibe mostly. Like I want it to emulate like a real mixing board or real preamps. So I like to use channel strip plugins to kind of just give it a bit of life off the bat. Um, I use Waves Tune for pitch correction. I don't overdo it. I just have it on there to tighten it up a little bit. I try to sing on pitch as closely as I can, and then just add the pitch correction to just clamp it down a bit. And then I've got a compressor, got a de-esser, and that's almost all of it on the basic uh, vocal chain. And the EQ I do directly on the channel in Cubase. I mean, you can use other EQs if you want, but most of the time I just do it on the channel strip, and then I add more if I need to, kind of, if I want a different vibe. And then going from there, like we've got a bunch of effects sends. I like to use a reverb on a room stereo channel, so I can route all the instruments to this room verb right here, and that I can blend to taste just to so it seems like even though I recorded everything DI and like in front of my computer, it seems like we're a band in a room, and that's the goal. So I try to make it real sounding, even though it's not as real as I can in my current situation, right? So, also I've got some sidechain compression as needed. I don't always use it, but sometimes I'll put the vocal compression in to give it a bit more presence in the mix. If it's getting buried a bit, it's good for helping that. Same with drums too. Like if the drums are kind of getting buried, you can put the direct mics from the shells through a compressor on an effects channel, and that can help you get that clarity a bit more in the mix. So I like to do that. I don't always do it, but sometimes. We've got some snare reverb and vocal reverb on their own channel, so blend to taste, right? I use Little Plate, I use Kramer Pi for compression here, True Verb, which is a Waves plugin, H Reverb, which is another Waves plugin, and I mix it into the SSL compressor on my stereo bus, and that's about it. Like for mastering, to make it louder, I try to use a clipper and a limiter just to make a loud mix down for myself to listen to and show other people. But nothing crazy. I don't do much EQ on the master bus. Um, but sometimes I'll do some stereo widening, or tape saturation, or you could add some bass harmonics with max bass if you want. But it's easy to overcook that stuff. You don't always need to do it. It's just about finding the right plugins for the song that's going to serve your song and help you get to where it needs to be. And this is like, it's faux mastering. It's not real mastering, but it's just something to make my mix louder to listen to in the car or to show someone else. That's it. All right, so I hope that helps a little bit. It's a weird video. It's a bit of a vlog. It's pretty messy, I'd say, but I'm trying to get content out there. So if you appreciated any of this, throw a like on it, subscribe to my channel. I'll try to post as often as I can, probably once a week. But love you all, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.